Alright, welcome to the first in what I hope will be a series of videos showing me playtesting terrible decks in the tournament practice room. My name's Chris. You've probably heard me on things such as Horde of Notions, The Great Debate, Monday Night Magic occasionally, Commander Cast, pretty much any podcast that's out there. Unfortunately, game one of this match against Jolt Cami did not record or did not save the replay by the client. So we've got games 2 and 3. I assure you it's a coincidence that I lost to game 1, convincingly. But a resume of what we've seen. I know he's playing some sort of Bant deck. I know he's got a lot of hexproof creatures. I saw a Geist St. Traft, and I saw a Troll Ascetic. I saw a Sword of War and Peace, and a Sword of Fire and Ice, and a whole bunch of fetch lands. For me, he has seen Archive Trap, he's seen Pyromancer Ascension, and he's seen the cantrips that I'm playing. So he knows what I'm playing, and I can guess what he's playing. So game 2 starts. This is my opening hand. I have no red mana, but I do have 2 one-casting cost cantrips, and a counterspell for any early green threat he drops. Probably going to keep this. So yeah, I decide to keep. And we go first turn Island. Serum Visions is better than Peak here. Knowing what he has is useful, but chances are nothing he does first turn is going to worry me, and I would rather see if my next 2 draws are going to be helpful or if I'm going blind. So Mana Leak Flash Freeze is what I see. And I ship them both to the bottom for some reason. Probably should have kept the Mana Leak there. So his first turn is Razorverge Thicket into Steel Shaper's Gift, revealing a Sword of Fire and Ice. Something I'm going to have trouble dealing with. The only removal I have in my deck is 3 Pyroclasm. I signed out my Lightning Bolts to fit the Pyroclasm in and also to get the Flash Freezes in there. Against this sort of a deck, in Modern, you want to keep the Mana Leaks in as well as the Flash Freeze. My deck, with Remand being a counterspell in Modern, you don't have to worry so much about your counterspells not drawing you cards. So you can afford to keep the leaks in when you go with the Flash Freezes as well. At least that's the way I've been playing it. So draw the Mountain and lay it, because that's the first in the series of good top decks. And pass the turn. It's more important that I be able to counter his second turn play if there is one. But of course there isn't, because he's got a breeding pool. So here we go Peak. As an instant, Peak is so much better than Gitaxian Probe in this deck when you need to be the control deck. It allows you to see what they're going to do, and then at the end of their turn, see what's left in their hand. So we see Sword of Fire and Ice, which we know about anyway, Forest, Verdant Catacombs, which we're hoping to draw an Archive Trap against, a Plains, Temple Garden, and Troll Ascetic. So really, there's only 2 threats and a whole bunch of land in his hand. This is a huge threat for me, especially if it gets this on it. So, we know what he's got in hand, and we draw the Pyroclasm. So if he taps out to cast Ascetic, it dies. If he casts Ascetic before he can protect it the same turn with Sword, it's going to die. So that makes my Flash Freeze less essential to keep open for the next couple of turns. So the island gets played, and this is where we're going to faithlessly loot. That Thought Scour in my hand isn't doing me a lot of good right now, so Archive Trap and Mountain are better off. I probably should have kept the Mountain here. The Thought Scour goes, the Mountain goes. I'm thinking in hindsight that the island would have been better, because a second Mountain allows me to play the Faithless Looting or the Pyroclasm and still keep mana open for a Manamorphose in case I need to draw into a Mana Leak or a Remand. So, on his turn, we know he's not land screwed, so there's the Razorverge Thicket. And he goes with the Sword of Fire and Ice first. Now, this is where having another red mana open would have helped. I can't Flash Freeze an artifact. You may have guessed. That's why it's not being counted. So I know I can keep his first threat off the board. It's a question of whether or not I can keep the next one off. So I draw Pyromancer Ascension, and he is tapped out. Island is going to hit the table. Just bring the graveyard up here so we can keep track of what's in there. We've got Peak, Serum Vision, Thought Scour, and Looting. neither of which I have in my hand right now. Still, not a huge decision to make here. Pyromancer Ascension gets played. I still have Flash Freeze mana up. He plays a tapped land. So if he tries to drop the Ascetic here, it's getting countered. He doesn't. He leaves me alone. So he's still holding that fetch land, and I've got the Archive Trap for it. No counter spells in my yard yet, so nothing I play is going to put a counter on here. So there's no reason for me to do anything right now. I'll just pass the turn. Drawing out helps me because I'm the one who needs to draw the gas. I have my threat on the board. I have 2 ways to protect it now with a leak and a flash freeze. So here comes the Ascetic. Now he's obviously going to try and protect it with counterspell mana, or equip it straight away so that I can't Pyroclasm it away. Remember, he does know I have the Pyroclasm. So here we go, flash freeze. Knowing that he either counters the flash freeze and lets me Pyroclasm it away, or he lets the flash freeze resolve. So he is now going to drop a Kasali Pride Mage. That cannot resolve. Obvious reasons. It's just going to nuke my Pyromancer Ascension. So 2 threats countered. Ascension still on the board, and now I have counters in my graveyard. Halimar Depths is just about the best card I could have drawn then because it tells me what's coming. The second Archive Trap makes that Verdant Catacombs in his hand an absolute liability. So we're going to put the Faithless Looting third from top, then the land, then the trap. Probably the bad idea, because I could have Manamorphosed here into the Faithless Looting and drawn 2, but then I would have had to discard something. So he untaps, lays his Verdant Catacombs. Now, if he cracks here, I Manamorphose to get the trap, and then mill him for 26. But he doesn't, so he allows me to draw the trap. This makes my Manamorphose even better. And now, at the end of my turn, he cracks. I am laughing right now, because here we go. Archive Trap, 13 cards. And we can see we've got rid of an Elspeth, a Path, which is useless against me. I'm surprised he kept it in. A Geist, and another Kasali Pride Mage. So we got rid of some good stuff there. Troll Ascetic as well. And of course the second trap, putting a counter on the Ascension, and milling 13 more. Hierarch goes, another Geist, another Elspeth. So not a bad set for me. I just took half of his library out and didn't tap a mana to do so. So he untaps, he drops another fetch land and cracks it immediately. Smart. Obviously, if I'd had the third Archive Trap, I would have played it at the end of my turn. I didn't, so he knows that it's safe to drop that crack that fetch. So he gets the Temple Garden, and he has no threats to cast. There's my Sulphur Falls. I know that the next card in my library is Faithless Looting. But right now I have no reason to do anything with it. I can flash back and get a Faithless Looting out of my graveyard if I need to. But why would I? When I know that I'm going to draw one, activate my Pyromancer Ascension, and then Manamorphose becomes absolutely disgusting. So we have 4 mana for a Worship. Again, something I'm surprised he didn't side out. I don't know if he expected a Kiln Fiend or a Gelectrode to come in post-board, but I'm not terribly fussed either way. There's the Faithless Looting. Now, obviously that's the play here, because that sets my Ascension live. I'm expecting to discard both cards I draw, and I do, because I don't care. I can flashback Faithless Looting at any point now and copy it and draw 4, discard 4. So I'm going to be able to go through a huge chunk of my deck for next turn if I need to with the Manamorphose as well. He still has no threats. He's got 4 cards in hand. No idea what they are. There is another Pyromancer Ascension. You run that out there as insurance, but also because double Ascension is disgusting when they're live. We're still not seeing any threats. Kasali Pride Mage. I'm going to Manamorphose here. I don't have one in the yard, but it is going to double, so I'm going to get 2 chances here to draw an answer. That Kasali Pride Mage is bad for me. So I add blue, Spell Pierce. No good. And I add blue, or blue-red, and Archive Trap. Okay. This is where I'm durdling a bit. I'm thinking, okay, I'm in trouble. I only have 1 active Ascension. He can kill the other one. I can't do anything about that Kasali Pride Mage. Apparently, I can't read that he only has 15 cards left, and I am holding an Archive Trap now. So I let that resolve, because I don't have a choice. I think he misplays here. Because instead of blowing the Ascension immediately, he equips and goes to move to combat. Now, I have to cast the Archive Trap right now, or that mana goes away. So, Archive Trap gets copied, and that's all she wrote.